which real love boat couples are heading to the finale, and which are getting told to shove off. I'm Anna Rumor with Pop Culture.
And I'm Nick Valdez from comicbook.com.
And this is Docked, where we offer our unfiltered opinions about the real love boat because we are coming down to the end. Things are getting crazy. We're recapping the 11th episode of The Real Love Boat. We're at the semifinals. We've got the last 5 couples, and things are anything but final. Nick, so curious what you thought about the semifinals.
We've got everything I love about the show in one episode, right? We have so much messiness. We have a literally messy challenge that's like the wildest thing ever. And and then we get a good sail away ceremony to top it off. So this really is the semifinal. No more new people, only the couples we have, for better or worse.
Speaking of worse, we start off the episode after that explosive, basically switcheroo last episode, and we are dealing with the fallout with Shaylin and Daniel from Bree basically spilling the beans on their semi-near kiss. And Shaylin is understandably upset about this. What did you think of their conversation? Because I was shocked.
I mean, look, he says you're being mentally weak, for letting her get you to think this or something. I'm like, no, she's just questioning the fact that she trusts Bree more than she trusts Daniel, and for him to say you're just being weak about it is what?
I was shocked. Bree got up there and said, Daniel basically could have kissed me. Shaylin says, what was that about? And Daniel's like, oh, you're gonna get upset about that now? It's like, I don't see anyone getting upset. She's just asking what she was talking about, and now you're calling her mentally weak. Gaslighting. I hate it when people say that word, but that's what he's doing.
No, he literally does that, because remember, this is still without the big elephant in the room, right? Of what he actually did on their date. We all know that. Daniel knows that, but Shaylin does not, and she's got this big cloud over her, and Daniel's just like, oh, don't worry about it. And the way they smooth it over, it felt weird. It felt like maybe it's just like we just need to move forward kind of thing, but that's not a good sign. No.
It felt very, next week is the finale. We can't be doing this if we want to win this season. If we want to sell our love story, we can't be fighting over this going into next week. There's not enough time. So we're going to smooth that over and just move on. That's what it felt like to me.
It certainly did, because they're looking at Emily and Marty's situation. Emily moving on with Thor, Mike, right. She's clearly happy as she's ever been. Mm-hmm. We see that throughout the rest of the episode.
Then you have Dream Team.
Yes, and then you have Marty kind of forcing himself to be okay with it. It kind of seemed like he was like, I'm happy for her. I definitely want her to be happy. We just need to win second place so I can learn more about Susanna. And I'll go to Florida for you, Susanna. I'm just getting to know you. And it's a lot of thick, right? He's laying it on really thick that he hasn't been hurt by all this,
Give me a break. The man is weeping and yelling last episode, and now he's having a cocktail with Susanna and being like, you know what? All of that was very silly. I'm happy to be here with you. I'm having a wonderful time, and I'm not screaming into my pillow every time I return to my cabin. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, he's doing that whole crying on the inside kind of thing. Every time you look at him, you're like, okay, what is really going through your head, Marty?
You can see the daggers in his eyes every time he looks at Mike and Emily.
And then you have poor Jordan and Kendra who are like, cool, we're still here.
I could not stop laughing when they were like, well, the last few weeks have been really challenging for us. Our relationship's really been put to the test. Has it? I feel like I haven't seen you guys at all in the last couple episodes. Are you guys going on through your own private battle off camera?
I don't know what to think about that either. Kudos to them for sticking it out, right? We get the actual challenge of the episode. It's the wildest thing, Anna, in order to be one of the top 2 winners of the week, who then get to pick out of the 3 remaining couples to only save one and send the other two home, right? It's a big challenge, big win, big week to do it. They're in Sicily, so it's this whole olive-inspired challenge.
Even the contestants looked confused whenever they were having it explained to them. They're like, wait, so we're picking a kilogram of olives and then bringing them back here, doing nothing with them, and then just coating ourselves in olive oil to like squeegee it into a bottle to fill it up in time, and first and second place are safe for the finale? All right.
I don't know. It went real Double Dare very quickly. Like, it was, let's sprint across this field to like some trees, go forage for olives in like the ground, and get like a whole 2 kilograms of them, which they had to explain what that was, like roughly like around 2 pounds or something like that.
That was rough when Dylan said, "What's a kilogram?" I was hoping he meant like, I don't know the conversion, but he did seem genuinely like, I'm not sure what anyone's talking about. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know.
I mean, secret accountant, maybe he's not so good with like...
That's true. He's an American accountant. He doesn't know the metric system. But he's from the Midwest. Come on.
I love Dylan and Sydney. They continue to be great through this challenge as well. They were really hitting it hard.
They were very close.
Yes, and it was kind of the case for all the couples this time around. Then you have Susanna and Marty, right?
I was gonna say, not all the couples.
Susanna is so lucky that this was really the only challenge she's had to participate in.
The olives were too pokey for her. She didn't want to pick them up off the ground. And then she didn't want to get her hair covered in oil, which it's beautiful hair, so I get it. But everyone else was like dousing their hair to squeegee it out in the bottles, and she was like, I'm not gonna do that, Marty.
You have Mike and 𝐿 pulling Matrix moves with their hair in order to fully soak it up, and you have genius moves. It's something I didn't even think about. Like when Mike unfurls his luscious locks, they made sure to point it out, and I was like, what's the point, right? But he clearly proved me wrong. He was thinking, this is why he's the thunder god, right? So
absolutely. There's no way to soak up that oil in any meaningful way unless you are fully dunking your head in it and getting your hair in it. It was Daniel and 𝐿 who figured it out. Everyone else followed it in their footsteps except for Susanna. Marty was trying with his like short hair, but it wasn't doing anything. They were goners from the start, and I respect Susanna for having her boundaries.
Yeah, like that's the other thing, right? Where it's like, well, Susanna, I'm glad you didn't have to try any of these other challenges we've seen throughout this show. I'm also down for her like being like, okay, I'm okay with not doing that as much. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, we all get why.
That would have been me with like all of the bungee jumping and stuff. I would have said, no, I'm not doing that. So, I can't go back on my word. If she doesn't want to dunk her head, work,
Absolutely. And then you have poor Jordan and Kendra who were trying so hard. They started out in first. They had a huge lead. Mm-hmm. And, I guess they didn't figure out the hair thing until way late.
She was dunking her hair in just the bottom of it in the olive oil. And I was like, no, you got to do the full thing.
So it all comes down to Mike and Emily winning, which is big. It's big for them, big for Emily, on Emily's victory tour over here.
I know. Talk about the winner of the season. We haven't even seen the finale yet, and I'm like, Emily's won though, right? Like, not even Mike, just Emily.
Yeah, Emily's definitely won. Like she learned about herself. She went on a full adventure around the world. She figured out what she doesn't want. And now she's with a god. So,
honestly. Oh, and then Daniel and 𝐿, they come in second. They were just slightly behind them. Dylan and Sydney are kind of ticked because they were just barely behind them. But, Daniel and 𝐿 have been a recomp beast this entire season. So I was not surprised that they honed in on a final spot.
Yeah, they have been winning a lot of the challenges, which was, and of course, seeing them win here, it's fair. But also, with the whole Daniel thing earlier, I was like, I wish it was Dylan and Sydney.
I know. But I mean, I guess this ensures that we'll get to see Daniel and 𝐏𝐶𝐿yn's drama play out in the finale. Although I don't know, maybe they'll just like brush it over and we'll never talk about it again until after the show, which would be interesting too.
Then from there, it's Mike and Emily, Daniel and 𝐏𝐶𝐿yn figuring out which couple they want to save out of the last three. And Marty, in the immediate losing interview after, is like, oh, well, I don't think she really hates me. And then Susanna's like, no, she's totally gonna get rid of you.
That killed me. Susanna, again, a queen. She's like, yeah, she hates you. What are you talking about? He's like, oh, well, there's no hard feelings between the two of us. There are only the hardest of feelings between the two of you. You are enemies here. Stop pretending like you're not.
It's so funny because then we get the deliberations between
Yes.
the top two teams, and then we get to see the opinions of everyone and why they should stay. And Marty's play for that, before we even get to the sail away ceremony, is like, oh, well, Daniel's competitive. He'd want to beat the best of the best. And I don't know. I can't wrap my head around what Marty was thinking at all. It made a lot more sense with Dylan and Sydney, who ended up becoming a major threat because they got so close so quickly. So I could see why someone wouldn't want to compete against them.
They can win stuff too. I mean, like
Yes.
Jordan and Kendra, like, you know, they have a great relationship, blah, 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 blah. They can't win anything. They can't do anything. Love to them, but they are bad at competition, so.
That's one of the things too, right? Where it's like, well, at least you found each other. Yeah, and Jordan's thing throughout the episode was, I just wanted someone to take me to my mom and be like, I'm becoming a better person than I was when I got on this boat. You know, like originally he was like, oh well, I was cheated on, or I forget what it was. Then I got real hot about it. You know,
Wasn't he the cheater? Wasn't that his whole
right.
thing? He was the cheater.
Oh my God, you're right. I completely forgot about that.
I truly think that it was kind of predestined who was going to get chosen. I mean, there's just really only one person who makes sense. Even from, Daniel and 𝐏𝐿yn were thinking from more of a competitive perspective. Emily wanted to choose who had the better connection. But at the end of the day, it all kind of comes down to the same answer. And, we'll move into our sail away ceremony now because that's exactly what happens.
Both couples decide to pick Jordan and Kendra to stick around. So, Anna, it was the funniest way that they edited this thing, right? You have Jordan and Kendra like crying and being like, oh, thank you for this. Thank you for giving us more time to be together. So happy you believe in our connection. And then you have Emily in like the confessional be like, well, they're just not good at challenges. So
That killed me. I was like, oh, Jordan and Kendra, this is why you can't win any challenges. Your head is just not in the game in the way that other people's heads are.
No, it really is not, right? Like they're playing a different game at this point, and kudos to them. They made it to the final that way. When we started talking about the show at the very beginning, and Marty and Emily were like the couple who did nothing. We didn't even see them. And then we were like, oh, maybe they'll make it to the end that way. No, it was Jordan and Kendra who got to the end that way, of just laying low. And so they got picked to be one of the final three couples. So
they're like the sacrificial sheep brought to slaughter, because there's no way that they can win if it's any kind of like physical or mental challenge in the end. I'm not sure what it's going to be.
And then, of course, you have Marty reacting to it, of just like, I said to you, if we ever broke up, I just want you to be happy, and I'm glad you're happy. And Emily's like, thanks.
I love how she goes, thank you for your apology. I was like, yes, absolutely. He should be apologizing. And this is the first time he's really done it. So, and probably not meant it. But, we don't know what his intentions were, but they seemed well-timed to his exit from the ship. Let's just say that. And then Dylan and Sydney, they're ticked. And Dylan says it. He's like, I'm mad that you sent me home. If you're going to be the third best, you're probably going to get sent home because you're just enough of a threat.
Yeah, and it's a shame because we picked another favorite and that didn't make it, right?
Oh my gosh. Do not go to the horse tracks with me. We're going to lose our life saving. We are so bad at figuring out which couple is going to go so far.
It's because we want to love everybody. And as soon as we love somebody just enough, we're like, yeah, they gotta win. They have to do it.
And then they betray us with losing. How dare they? Well, next week is the finale. We get like a little bit of a preview of it.
One seems to be like the dating game kind of like matching answers to questions kind of thing. One of them seems to be like a captain's table kind of conversation. And
there's 3, yeah.
Yes, there's 3, I remember 3 distinct challenges, and then the final one was giving a speech to like people on the boat who are also there, and they have to vote. Yes, they have to vote for their favorite couple, so I don't know how that's gonna work. I'm excited to see because we have no idea what to expect on any of these episodes. Each one of these episodes has been a surprise, and I can't wait to see what kind of surprise we have in the final. I don't know, like, who do you think has a good chance of winning this, honestly?
I guess, if I just go with my gut, I'm going Mike and Emily. I feel like they have the most interesting and like satisfying love story. I would have been Team Daniel and Shaylin if they hadn't had their little like gaslighting moment this episode, which made me feel a little icky. But yes, and then Jordan and Kendra, who knows, they might win, I don't know.
I don't know, I'm kind of rooting for Jordan and Kendra, right?
Yeah.
Like, the big underdog, if they win it all, cool for them. But I do agree with you that Mike and Emily seem to just be on a tear right now, and they formed a couple at the right time. They're happy. It's before we know anything troubling about Mike, so...
Please get them to the finale before we learn anything troubling. Daniel, you almost made it to the end.
Daniel, you were right there, Daniel. You were right there.
Tripped on the last hurdle. But I am very interested to see what happens next week, and we will definitely be recapping it for you here on Docked as we return for the season finale. So until then, ciao for now.